I receive a lot of questions from people in our community, and recently someone asked me, what is the best brand for a paintbrush? Hi, my name is Carrie, and today on Artist Strong, I have an answer to this question, but it might not be the one you're looking for. So, what is the best brand of paintbrush to use? I would argue it's the one you're already using. And today's demonstration, I'm going to show you 3 different ways to use the paintbrush you already have. Hi everyone, it's Carrie here again, and now I'm going to go through the 3 short little demos I'm going to show you today. So I picked 2 colors for my paint, which you can see here. One is an ultramarine blue and the other is a medium magenta. They're both from Liquitex. And then I picked 2 paintbrushes, and I have some water over here, and I like to have a kind of old towel that I can also kind of wipe my paint on as well. And I want you to be able to see that. So I'm going to make sure it's kind of shuffled here for our first one. And the first demo I want to show you is scumbling. And I've made sure that that word goes up on the screen for you so that you know how to spell it if you haven't heard of it before. It's best if you use a brush that has a stiffer bristle to it, so you can hear the sound. I think you can hear the sound of this one. Okay, so you wouldn't really want to use, you probably could make it work, but I think it'd be harder to use a softer bristle brush, more of like a watercolor brush. I think that would be harder to get a scumble with, but I'm sure you can with either. And I encourage you to experiment and see what feels the best for you. Scumbling is used by Impressionist artists. A lot of people don't understand that that's actually the primary technique used by Monet. Lots of people think with Monet that he repeats a brush stroke over and over again, when in fact he scumbles. So I'm going to show you now. I'm going to kind of wet my brush a little bit, but then dab it mostly dry. I'm going to take some of this paint, okay, so you can see how much is on my brush. Okay, and then you scrape it, you push it into the paper, and you make these kind of rotational marks. So you see I'm kind of moving in a circle. That's scumbling. It's the shift, okay? And so you let some of the white of the paper show through. You don't load it so thick that you can't see other layers. And then if you wanted to add another color, you could wait till it's dry and scumble on top. Or while it's still wet, you could add another color and scumble in some areas and see how that mixes the colors and how they work together. So it's this repeated kind of rotational movement with your brush. It's not super wet so that you get kind of scrapey sound as you're moving with your brush. And it gives you this kind of nice textural layered mark, which really is quite beautiful. And if you look carefully at some of Monet's work, you'll see scumbling in his. Okay, so the next 2 I can demonstrate on one piece of paper. And, you know, one thing that we often assume that we do with a brush is kind of like put things down, paint back and forth, have this kind of motion on the paper. We don't think about like rubbing it in and moving it around like we did with scumbling. Well, the other thing you can do is you can actually print with your brush. So instead of just drawing with your brush or trying to cover an area and kind of color in a surface, you can print with your brush. So then you repeatedly make marks, and you could decide, you know, which side of the brush that you want, which angle do you want, how much pressure you apply, and you can repeat these marks over and over again on a surface. You could have an underpainting of color and then place these marks on top and work with them repeatedly to create, for example, a feeling of brush or a part of a tree, right? So printing with your brush is a really kind of simple way to mix things up. And again, you don't need a specific brand of brush for this. You can use one brush to get all kinds of effects, but sometimes we limit ourselves with the different effects we think we can achieve with a brush, and we try to pick a new brand of brush or do that kind of research instead of just experimenting with the tools we have. The other one that I have for you, and the last technique I'm going to show you today in our little mini workshop, is to draw into the paint that's already there. So if it's thick, right, so I've just kind of mixed some of the colors together and I'm just layering it on my paper. And obviously if you work on paper or canvas or masonite, all of these may work a little bit differently, and that's part of the fun too, experiment. So use the back end, the butt of your brush, and draw into it and see what happens. You know, I like to wipe my brush clean when I do that after, But so you can see, you can get some really interesting effects by drawing into the paint. And again, all of this with one paintbrush. You don't have to break the bank. You don't even need a new paintbrush. The only thing that can get annoying with paintbrushes is sometimes the hairs fall out of them over time, and you can help prevent that by actually not soaking and leaving your paintbrushes in soaking water or liquid of any kind. Wipe them, clean them out, and when they're done, like I said, don't just leave them soaking in here. Clean it out and leave it out on your paper towel, and that will help the glue to hold longer. Because the reason those bristles come out is because the glue in here holding them starts to loosen with time. So I hope you enjoy these little demos, and we'll get back to the other part of the video. This question reminds me of the countless hours I would spend researching different artist tools instead of using that time to make. I wonder how many of us use these kinds of questions as an excuse or an avoidance behavior to, ignore or find an excuse to embrace the fear we have about our creative process. Sometimes we have these kinds of questions or avoidance behaviors because we're actually scared to make. So today I ask you to think about that when you start to go down a rabbit hole of research, because that's an answer that only you know. Be creatively courageous. Today, I encourage you to share a link to one of your favorite mixed media tutorials in the comments below, and then tell us about your own moment of what I like to call over-research. What's a question that you've allowed yourself to dig perhaps a little too deep on instead of making your art? Share it with us in the comments. And of course, if you've enjoyed today's video, please share it with others. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next week.